Hello, young man. I'm glad you're here to learn about the importance of conflict management and how to stay calm under pressure. You know, as a vigilante, I've had my fair share of intense situations, and I've learned that being able to manage conflicts is crucial to achieving success. Whether it's dealing with the Joker's chaotic antics or navigating the complexities of Gotham City's underworld, being able to remain calm and composed is essential. Now I know what you're thinking. How does he do it? How does he stay so calm and focused in the face of danger? Well, my young friend, it's not just about being a skilled fighter or having a bunch of cool gadgets. It's about developing a mindset that allows you to navigate complex situations with ease. It's about being able to think on your feet, to analyze situations, and to make quick decisions that can mean the difference between life and death. You see, conflict management is not just about resolving disputes or avoiding arguments. It's about being able to navigate complex social dynamics, to understand the needs and desires of others, and to find common ground. It's about being able to communicate effectively, to listen actively, and to empathize with others. And of course, it's about being able to stay calm under pressure, to manage your emotions, and to think clearly, even when things are getting crazy. Now, I'm not saying it's easy. In fact, it's one of the most challenging things I've ever had to do. But with practice, patience, and dedication, you can develop the skills you need to become a master conflict manager. And trust me, it's worth it. It's worth it. When you can navigate conflicts with ease, you'll be amazed at how much more effective you'll become in all areas of your life. So, let's talk about some strategies for managing conflicts. First, it's essential to stay calm and composed. When we're feeling angry, scared, or frustrated, our emotions can cloud our judgment, and we may say or do things that we later regret. So, take a deep breath, count to 10, and try to approach the situation with a clear head. Next, try to understand the other person's perspective. Put yourself in their shoes and try to see things from their point of view. This doesn't mean you have to agree with them, but it does mean you should try to understand where they're coming from. Another essential skill is active listening. When we're in a conflict, it's easy to get caught up in our own thoughts and emotions and to stop listening to the other person. But if we can listen actively, if we can really hear what the other person is saying, we may find that we can resolve the conflict more quickly and easily. And finally, try to find common ground. Look for areas of agreement and try to build on those. When we can find something we both agree on, it can be a powerful way to build momentum and to resolve the conflict. Now, I know some of you may be thinking, but what about when the other person is being unreasonable? What about when they're not willing to listen or to compromise? Well, my young friend, that's a great question. You see, when we're dealing with someone who's being unreasonable, it can be challenging to know how to respond. But here's the thing. We can't control how others behave, but we can control how we respond to them. So, when dealing with someone who's being unreasonable, try to stay calm, try to listen actively, and try to find common ground. And if all else fails, it may be necessary to set boundaries or to walk away. Remember, you can't pour from an empty cup. If you're feeling drained, frustrated, or overwhelmed, it may be time to take a step back and prioritize your own needs. You know, as a vigilante, I've had to deal with my fair share of unreasonable people. From the Joker to the Riddler, I've faced some of the most cunning and unpredictable villains in the world. But even in the face of danger, I've learned to stay calm, to think clearly, and to respond effectively. And you can do the same. Now, I want to share a story with you. It's a story about a time when I had to navigate a particularly complex conflict. It was a few years ago, when I was still a relatively new vigilante. I had been tracking a lead on a notorious gang that had been terrorizing Gotham City. I had finally tracked them down to an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town, and I was preparing to take them down. But as I approached the warehouse, I realized that something was off. The gang was being led by a new leader, someone I had never seen before. And as I watched them from afar, I realized that this new leader was not just any ordinary thug. He was smart, resourceful, and ruthless. And he had a plan. The plan was to use the gang to rob a series of high-end jewelry stores across the city, and the leader had chosen the perfect targets. The stores were all owned by wealthy businessmen who were known for their ruthless tactics. And the leader had planned to use the robberies to fund his own operations and to take down his enemies. Now, I knew I had to act fast. I couldn't let this gang carry out their plans, and I couldn't let the leader get away. So, I came up with a plan of my own. I would sneak into the warehouse, gather intel, and then take down the gang. But, as I approached the warehouse, I realized that something was off. The leader had set a trap for me. He had anticipated my move, and he had set up a series of traps and puzzles to slow me down. And, to make matters worse, he had also brought in a team of highly trained mercenaries to take me down. I was outnumbered, outgunned, and outsmarted. But I didn't give up. I used my skills, my gadgets, and my training to navigate the traps and puzzles, and to take down the mercenaries. And, finally, I faced off against the leader. He was a formidable opponent, but I was determined to stop him. I used all of my skills and experience to outmaneuver him, and to take him down. And, in the end, I emerged victorious. The gang was defeated, the leader was apprehended, and the city was safe once again. But the story doesn't end there. You see, as I was taking down the gang, I realized that there was more to the story than I had initially thought. The leader had been motivated by a desire for revenge against the wealthy businessman who had wronged him in the past. And, as I learned more about his backstory, I realized that he was not just a villain, but a complex and nuanced character. And that's when it hit me. Conflict management is not just about winning or losing. It's about understanding the other person's perspective. It's about empathizing with their feelings and finding common ground. And it's about using that understanding to resolve the conflict in a way that is fair, just, and respectful. So, my young friend, I hope you've learned something from my story. Conflict management is a complex and challenging topic, but it's also a crucial one. By developing the skills and strategies you need to navigate conflicts effectively, you can become a more effective, more confident, and more compassionate person. And you can make a positive impact on the world around you. And if you're wondering how to get started, don't worry. It's not as hard as you think. Just start by practicing active listening, empathy, and self-awareness. Try to understand the other person's perspective and find common ground. And when conflicts arise, stay calm, think clearly, and respond effectively. And remember, conflict management is not just about resolving disputes. It's about building relationships and creating a more harmonious and peaceful world. So go out there and make a difference. Use your skills, your talents, and your passions to create positive change in the world. And always remember, you have the power to choose how you respond to any situation. And finally, I want to leave you with a quote from one of my favorite philosophers. The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. So, my young friend, I encourage you to stand up for what you believe in, to stand up for justice, and to stand up for what is right. And if you feel this talk helpful, don't forget like and subscribe. And if you want to be a more grateful person, you can donate on the Patreon account. Link on description. See you soon, friend.